Welcome to another week of At Ping, guys. First video submission question is in. Let's listen.
Hey Ping, question for you about the Motocross Des Nations. So I could be wrong, but it definitely seems like riders and teams are looking for justifiable reasons to skip the event, probably so they don't look like the bad guys. It seems like it's the whole we really want to go, but unfortunately, fill in the blank. So obviously previously scheduling was used as an issue, an explanation, but this year's timing is way better for AMA riders. But still, no Roxon who pulled out, who said more pros and cons, no Ferrandis, and it sounds like no Yamaha riders at all because of the move to the goat farm. And now no Lawrence brothers, and they're saying that they really wanted to go, but it was a higher-ups decision that made it so they couldn't go. I'm sure there's a lot more to come as well. So my question to you is, do you believe these reasons, or do you think they're just kind of window dressing, and they just prefer not to go? And if that's the case, why don't they want to go? What are the reasons? What can the FIM do to solve this so that the best riders show up? I hate to see this devolve into just an exhibition race, and because unless it's the best of the best, it really kind of loses a lot of that Motocross of Nations feel. So appreciate your insight, and thanks for the answer. Bye.
All right, thanks for that. That's I love getting video questions, so I appreciate it. Are those excuses legit? I mean, I think this kind of comes down to you can't think of this emotionally, right? Like as fans and Americans, we want to go and represent our country, and we think that's really important. To the riders, this is their careers, okay? If you were a carpenter, you wouldn't go to a house building championship and go build someone a house for free just to prove that, you could throw up sticks better than another guy. It's absurd. You do this for a living, okay? And people need to look at it from that perspective as far as it relates to the riders. This is their jobs. And it's, as more money has become into the sport, you definitely lose a little bit of the soul of it. That's just the way it is. It becomes more about the money, and there's a lot of money on the line for these guys. They're paid to win races and titles here, not any of that overseas crap. So just think about that. Try to see it from their point of view. What changed? I think that's the other important thing to address. In the 80s, up until the early 80s, we were getting our ass kicked, and it was always a goal to try to beat the Europeans. Well, when we finally did, we went on a tear, okay? So our goal was to just win it, to prove we could compete. Then once we did that, it was, well, we got to keep this streak going. And that went for a long, long time. Well, now we're getting our ass kicked. They've got our number. I don't know what it'll take for us to win again. I don't think we're going to be dominant the way we were, for sure. And so there's a lot of negatives for the guys, not so many upsides. So I would just look at it from that point of view. If the promoter really wants us there, pay a little bit of money to these riders. Give them 20 grand. This guy's obviously putting a crap ton of cash in his pocket. You want us there, pay our guys. That's my opinion on that one. So anyway, if the guys don't want to go, I get it. And I know that's an unpopular opinion, but I don't really care. It's their careers. They've got a short window to make a living. Do the things that are best for you to make that money, my opinion. Thanks for the question. Appreciate it. Second one. Good afternoon, Mr. Ping. My name is Hunter, and I'm from the great state of Texas. I want to start off by saying I look forward to these Ask Ping videos. You always have great insight, and I'm a huge fan of the Whiskey Throttle Show. On to the question. It's been a minute since we had a pro national race down here in Texas, with Freestone, of course, being the last and only track to hold it in recent years. I believe Texas has one of the largest moto fan bases state to state, with huge pockets such as Dallas, Central Texas, and Houston, holding large moto communities. We have plenty of fantastic tracks down here, but I really don't know of any to match the scale of Freestone, as I'm really only familiar with Central Texas tracks. Do you think we'll ever see a pro national come back this way? Cycle Ranch would have been amazing, but as of right now, we're at risk of losing this dream track. Side question, what's been your favorite track you've ridden in Texas? Thanks. I will say I was at Freestone in 2010 for the national, and it was one of the hottest races I've ever been to. And I think that's a little bit of a speed bump or a hurdle for a Texas national, is that it would have to be way early in the season. Maybe even kick the series off there, because that humidity is brutal if you're not used to it. And there were some people with some heat exhaustion issues after that weekend, and it crushed a lot of guys. So that's an issue. The problem is that in order for them to get one, someone else has to give one up. We're not going to add nationals. So unless one of these promoters isn't making money, like the guy in Texas, or rather Florida, that had a national for a couple of years, he was losing money, so he said, yeah, I'm out. do something else with it. So Paula got 2. I don't know. I know that they charge a pretty massive fee just to host the Nationals. So you've got to have some cash ready to lay out. Not to mention all the requirements they have for the facility that you probably have to make upgrades. It's not always a cash positive deal year one. And so there has to be a passion for it and a plan, long-term plan to stay on and build. So just don't know if they will. We'll have to see what happens. A lot of things in flux right now with that World Supercross Series ramping up and things like that. So we'll see what happens. My favorite Texas track, Lake Whitney. I used to race the GNC National there, was what they called it. It was a big amateur race back in the 90s and man, 80s and 90s. And I love that place. Amazing dirt, elevation, just everything you'd want. So bummer that we lost that place. Hopefully that doesn't happen to your other track there, Cycle Ranch. Thanks so much, Hunter. I appreciate the question. Last one. This guy and I have a little bit of a history, so if this seems aggressive, it is. David, I am more amazed at your post-pro motocross supercross life than I would have ever imagined. When you started your pro career, I had high hopes that professionalism and clean forward racing was going to return to the world of motocross and supercross as I preferred. Then you, in my eyes, became king douchebag of the I do not have to work too hard as I am great club, and I cheered every loss as you became a complete disappointment. Partying seemed to win over maximizing your potential. Well, F me, post-Ping is the complete opposite of the loser I saw waste his talents as a pro. I do not want to completely waste your time blowing smoke up your ass. I think by now you know that you have your shit more than together. You are obviously now the hard worker you always should have been. You're intelligent and well-spoken, blah, blah, blah. Finally, the whole point of this email, would you consider a position within the AMA to help them get their collective heads out of their asses? To save more time, pretend I'm blowing more smoke up your ass. My mom says hello. Richard. P.S. I love Ask Ping and Whiskey Throttle Show, and thank you for your service as a fire eater. This guy. First of all, I was not a partier. I didn't touch a drop of alcohol until I was 23. That was not my problem. I didn't listen to some good advice early on. I didn't latch onto a mentor like Johnny O, a la Ricky Carmichael. That was a mistake for me. And I was hurt all the time, man. I had 2 seasons in 10 where I stayed healthy the entire season, 2. So it wasn't necessarily the partying. It wasn't my issue. It was, I could not stay in one piece, but flame on. No, I won't do a job at the AMA. I'm trying to do my own things. Okay. I don't need to worry about bad decisions that they're making. And there's certainly been some along the way. They have a guy there. Jeremy Albrecht is the right guy for that job. He still likes going to the races. I do not just get him involved, get him engaged, let him make some decisions because he knows what to do. Jeremy is the right guy for that job. They've already tried him out. I don't know where that's going longer term, but if they want help, they want to correct some of the buffoonery, he's the guy to do it. They have the right guy ready to go. So, that's my answer there. Thank you for the insults and the compliments. I'll take them both. And tell your mom I said hi.